And with that, I've created a perpetual motion device.
But by my calculations, perpetual motion shouldn't exist.
Well, that's because you're not a genius like me, 18.
You built me with the capabilities to run complex equations. It's not possible.
Who's the doctor here, 19? I made perpetual motion.
No, Gero, you didn't.
Media theorist and talented creator, the dedicated artist.
That's right, and I'm here to expose to the world how you made your contraption. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Animated Cartoon Conspiracy Theory. And one show that's always got me overthinking to no end is the Dragon Ball series. Whether it's Piccolo being a literal slug, Goku breathing in space, or why he caught the heart disease, Dragon Ball has always got me overthinking. And I'm feeling pretty nostalgic after watching Daima on Crunchyroll. And the Tamagami got me thinking about the androids. These guys don't make sense. At least until now, after using the Manga Plus app, which by the way is super helpful and has all the chapters, to look back at the androids' creation. It turns out the androids 17 and 18 run on perpetual energy, which by all accounts should not be possible. See, perpetual motion is impossible. Even Einstein couldn't figure that out. So what's the catch? Is it something that's just like perpetual energy, or is it something way more interesting? Well, screw in your nuts and bolts, overthinkers. Install that notification bell and subscribe because we're about to see how the impossible is possible in Dragon Ball Z. Did you know that the androids' real names are Lapis and Lazuli? You know, after that rock you find in Minecraft? Yeah, Toriyama was the best at naming things, I swear. R.I.P. Toriyama. But besides naming things, another one of his top creations was the Android Saga. And in the Android Saga, the Z Fighters were warned by a future version of Trunks that a pair of androids would come and destroy the world. They kinda did that in his timeline, so nice warning. And because the Z Fighters now had a leg up against the future threat, they were able to train. Goku was warned about his heart virus. There's a short above that explains everything. And the Z Fighters attempt to take care of the androids even before they get revived. But the timeline changed. Dr. Gero and Android 19 appear to fight Vegeta and the Z Fighters, and they lose terribly. Just look at Android 19's face. That's a person who lost. And that's when Dr. Gero decides to escape and resurrect one of his android creations. And this is where we find out that Dr. Gero did not only create perpetual energy and install it in two cyborgs, androids, he transformed the full anatomy of himself and Android 17 and 18 into cyborgs. Androids. But what is perpetual energy? Is it something that we can harness and use now? Well, as I stated earlier, this is something that is impossible. Scientists, scholars, and even philosophers have attempted to create and postulate the idea of eternal energy. For example, this device known as the overbalanced wheel was made so that heavy balls fall on one side, causing a domino effect of motion. But this will and eventually does stop. And the same thing for the self-filling flask, where water pushes itself out of a spout using gravity and water's viscosity to always fill itself. But that too can't go on forever. So why can't we have perpetual energy? Well, one main reason is thermodynamics, but mainly energy transfer. See, when energy is created, some of that energy sometimes is given off as heat. A simple way to try this out is to rub your hands together really fast. And when you do, the calories you ate is being turned into heat on your hands. This is called friction. Pretty nifty when it gets cold outside, but it's the same reason we can't achieve perpetual energy. Some energy is being lost somewhere in the device or contraption until it stops. That's why you also can't rub your hands together forever. You'll eventually run out of some calories. But the androids don't need calories. They seem to never get tired, and they can go days destroying things if they just feel like it. So how would the androids get even close to almost unlimited energy? Well, let's take a look at what makes humans tired in the first place. Firstly, we know that androids are strong and have had many parts replaced like muscles and probably bones. So this already eliminates muscle fatigue, which happens when your muscles run out of a balancing molecule known as ATP. This helps your muscles to contract, and when it's gone, it's the reason why you can't do that 35th push-up, even though you're willing. So just because the androids don't have muscles and possibly other important organs like lungs, heart, and etc., that doesn't mean that the body would stop producing hormones that tell your body when it's time to go to bed. Say you've probably known somebody that had some trouble sleeping and they decided, hey, I'm gonna take some melatonin. And then you happen to never see them again until next week. Well, melatonin is a hormone found within the body that's almost directly responsible for telling your body when it's time to go to bed. And even certain things you do before bed can increase the production of this hormone naturally without taking a non-FDA approved gummy. Things like a warm shower or drinking certain teas like chamomile can help the Sandman come faster. But in Trunks' timeline, these androids don't get tired, and they destroyed towns and cities for weeks at one point because they felt like it. So it seems that Dr. Gero also modified the hormonal output of these androids, except the ones needed for childbirth. Weird thing to leave in.
If the androids don't get physically or mentally tired,
This only makes them more dangerous as weapons of destruction, on top of the perpetual energy inside of them. But removing body parts and removing hormones doesn't create perpetual energy. Just an insomnia-filled cyborg who wants to destroy Goku. But fellow overthinkers, we've been applying a real-world solution to a fictional universe. So this time, we need an in-universe solution. So let's look at what Dr. Gero actually created before Android 17 and 18 in his lab. See, when Dr. Gero reveals that he made Android 17 and 18 with the perpetual motion, Android 17 actually mentions a previous technology that Gero designed. This was known as the absorption model, an inefficient model that Dr. Gero gave himself and Android 19 because by his words, it was easier to control. And what Dr. Gero desired with these androids was to create a way for eternal life, but also a way to control his creation. But for some reason, the eternal energy model was way harder to control. And I promise, there's an even cooler reason why the eternal energy model was harder to control. But Dr. Gero's previous model relied solely on taking the energy of others around him. But if you ask me, this is a one-way trip to AHR. Like, he has to grapple enemies or touch them to take the energy. And believe me, I'm reporting Gramps immediately! But what if instead of taking energy from others, Gero designed 17 and 18 to take energy from everything around them? That's right, a walking spirit bomb. Yes, in fact, when you think about it, it makes even more sense. Gero designed them as a technological spirit bomb. This explains why in video games and the anime itself, they take so long to charge up their next attacks, and instead use mainly physical attacks instead. This not only explains how they get their unlimited energy, but also explains how they're able to get so strong in Dragon Ball Super. See, in Dragon Ball Super, Goku goes around recruiting people for the next world tournament, except this time, it's hosted by God himself. And one of Goku's all-star picks happened to be Android 17. And knowing Goku, he tested his strength before having him tag along with his new form and strength. But the thing is 17 could keep up, and he wasn't training at all. And the thing is, nobody could ever explain why this was. But if he was a technological spirit bomb, that means he's been storing energy of the world around him for years, allowing him and 18 to exponentially get stronger without much training. And this actually gets better and explains why Dr. Gero wasn't able to control them. Because if they were taking the energy from the world around them, that means they have to be connected to nature. Human nature. A cyborg who takes energy from others loses their humanity in a way. And if you take energy from nature like the androids, you'd retain your own humanity and individuality. So there you have it. Dr. Gero didn't create an internal energy. He designed a machine that was able to pull energy from the world around them, just like a spirit bomb, allowing the androids to never get tired and get exponentially stronger over time. But is that a coincidence? I think not. And of course, if you like videos of anime theories like this, I'm sure you would love to hear about the swords and demon slayers and how they're alive. Or maybe just binge the whole first season playlist of animated cartoon conspiracy theory. Otherwise, I'll see you in another video. Bye-bye!